Show up here, spiders. But this is what I mean, right? So I can just click over here, and then I can just like grab little things and make adjustments as I go, right?
Yeah.
And while I'm doing this, all the other units are still doing their freaking thing, right? Like these guys can all attack. Oh god, that's a lot of creeps. Like they're not even done yet, and I'm still like reordering things, you know? Hi guys, welcome back. This is week 19 of weekly coaching. So last time we were talking about playing Beastmaster and starting to learn micro heroes for the offlane, because the student usually likes blink heroes. So the homework was play Beastmaster in unranked, and then in ranked stick to comfort heroes like Sand King, things like that for blink. So Dookie, what is the MMR this week?
2608.
608. So not moving at all.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm having a similar experience in my games. All right. And so you were saying for this Beastmaster game, what are the... First off, how did Beastmaster feel versus normal heroes? You were saying to me earlier, like, you like the ability to, like, split push a lot more?
Yeah, Beastmaster feels like it's a totally different type of game. I mean, I know people do buy Blink on him, but it felt like there was just certain things that you can do with him that you can't do with like other heroes. So like alone was a tower threat, and that was something that their team had to think about. And some of them were like, I don't know what their ranks were. Like some of them like definitely like were already on it. But just the fact that like I alone present like a threat to be able to like take towers and take racks and stuff shit like that, like that's a big deal to me, because a lot of the other Blink heroes, some of them have it, like I guess like, you know, Tide could in theory, but not like
it's not specialized for it. It's a different style. Okay, so that felt good, being able to do that. And then what were issues you were running into with it? I mean, you only got to play like one Lycan game and one Beastmaster game, but what issues do you have from this one?
So I've played Beastmaster a bit before, so I'm not completely like new to it, but definitely the biggest thing is just like getting used to playing both like two characters at once, basically, you know. I think sometimes like it's like if I'm trying to focus on one, I'm losing track of the other.
Okay.
And so like I might walk up in a fight, use my ult, and then kind of like lose track of what's going on and die.
Okay, so like how do we keep track of our stuff better?
Yeah. I think I also kind of identified that I was relying a bit on too much on the I don't know if it's like for everybody, but I have a setting where it's like if you hold control, it controls all of your units at once.
Oh, okay, yeah. Unified controls.
I felt like I was relying too much on that, because at that point I'm not really microing.
Sure, that's fair. You're like just box selecting basically. So what would be the question there? Like
how should I approach just like actually getting into the micro, you know?
How can we learn how to micro better?
Yeah, I think like a real basic one that's kind of like a hard one is like, what is the optimal use of Boar in the lane?
Okay.
Because I was kind of using him to help blast hit, kind of using it to help harass, but it's like weird situations where it's like you walk up, start hitting it, but if they have like a ranged support, you don't want it to stay too long. Also, I'm like, if I'm paying too much attention to that, I'm like auto attacking creeps instead of last hitting them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's three things then. So that's good. Let's go and have a look at this one and see if we can find those real quick. So just to recap, so how do we keep track of our summons and our hero better? How can we learn how to micro better? And how should we be using Boar in lane? Now, I am not a Beastmaster expert by any means, but I did play a game with him the other day, so I could like refresh myself on it. And also, I played like a ton of RTS games. So like micro as a concept is really easy for me to understand.
Yeah.
So we still want to be doing all of our basic stuff, and this is difficult when you're learning a new hero. You need to not forget about all the other crap, right? So first thing right away, who do we think we're laning against? And then how would we want to itemize, right? So I'd say here, again, it's a PA lane, probably want stick, right?
Yeah.
Not really relevant to the questions you're talking about, but try to like almost.
So that's definitely a thing of like,
Yeah.
because I'm so focused on being a micro hero, I'm like losing track of what you're normally supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but that's okay. I mean, that'll go away with time. So first off, let's go over all of Beastmaster's spells just so we both understand them pretty well.
Yeah.
So Wild Axes has insane range. I don't know if you figured that out yet.
Yeah.
Like crazy range. And then also each axe does this damage. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So that's actually a 70 damage spell, level 1. And then there's this damage amp aspect to it, which I think is the hardest part about it to use. Where I think it's yeah, your hero and your units get amp damage if you hit them with it. And I think you could... The way I'm reading this, I'm not sure, but the way I'm reading this, it sounds like each axe applies the damage amp. Which kind of looks that way based on PA's debuff bar. Let's see the next time you hit her. Whatever that is. We'll wait for you to throw one. But, and okay, then we have Boar and Hawk. So, Hawk, obviously, like, good for vision and stuff like that. Long-ass cooldown, they're like no mana cost, basically. So this, once you've skilled this should just, like, always be up.
Yeah.
You just kind of want to treat this like a really good ward. So, like, in this instance, like, sticking it over here, so you can see, like, what Dazzle's doing would be good, as long as you're not worried about his sentry. Other than that, you might want to like throw it over here, so when they're hiding in the trees from you, you can like hit them with axes and stuff. Or you could like, if you feel like you don't need it in the lane at all, like go chuck it at the rune, you know, something like that, right? Because this thing is like freaking global, just go anywhere. And then Wild Boar, so this is like, it's one of those spells where it always like feels worse to play against than it actually does to use.
Yeah.
Because it actually really does not do that much damage. Like, it does 20 damage. It doesn't actually have a dot on it. It just has a slow. And it's a long-ass cooldown. And I've noticed, like, whenever I use it, the enemy support just kills my boar. Because it's, like, really easy to harass from range. So this might be a spell where if you're against, like, a lot of range damage, you just maybe don't even bother with boars in that type of a lane. And if you're against melee, then it's really good. But I think the main advantage here is it's a little bit like how you would last hit with Lone Druid, like you just have that extra damage tick. Same thing with like Invoker summoning like Forge Spirits, like using it to help you get denies and last hits, and then also putting a slow on them to then kill them. I don't think Wild Boar is actually that good at harassing unless they're 100% melee and can't easily just kill the boar. And then obviously you have an attack speed aura, and then you have your roar, which is really good. We don't even really need to talk about those yet because we haven't skilled them.
Yeah, I think that's actually kind of interesting because I didn't really think about it, but maybe it's like a good thing to kind of question, like, why do I want micro units, you know? Because at first I was like, I know that that's kind of a thing with him, that some people are just like the axes are like the strongest thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, maybe thinking about like why do I want to have the boar and when do I want to have it?
Yeah, which is kind of like, if we were going to look at Beastmaster as if he were any other hero, we would just be looking at the boar as a spell, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is the spell meant to do? Even though it's creating a unit, it's a little different, right?
Yeah.
But there you go. I mean, that's a good usage of it. Like, put slow on them, and you attack them.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's just sitting here, like, helping you last hit. That's pretty much it. And then, obviously, like, because of matchups, like, the boar can be good or bad.
Yeah.
So if this was like a Luna Dazzle lane, you probably don't even bother with the boar because it's not actually going to do anything and they're just going to farm it.
Right.
But we are having mana issues, so that means we're either spamming a little bit too much or we need some regen. I would definitely say like you need a stick in this lane, right? So don't forget about that. You see how like weak the boar is? I mean, it took like what tower hit there, but it just really doesn't actually do anything early, level 1. Okay, we got a stick now.
it felt similar with Lycan.
Hmm.
It was really hard to get use out of the
So in this lane, I think what I would do is I would take the value point in the boar because it's also giving you the hawk and it's going to help you with last hitting. And then I'd be maxing wild axes here.
yeah.
You don't get a lot of value out of this inner beast just yet. And if you... The nice thing about axes is it gives you kill threat and it helps you farm. So this is a great farming ability. So that's like... I think normally you're just going to want to like max wild axes. Like most of the time, that's what your lane is going to look like. I'm just maxing wild axes because it's either a good spell to help me get kills, and if it's not, then it's a good spell to help me farm.
Yeah.
And I can't see your cursor, obviously, so I'm just using your player view to try to see like how you're managing micro. I do notice the boar like gets a little bit far away from you and stuff like that. So I wouldn't worry about quote unquote like micro.
Yeah.
In this context. Oh, nice, nice. Very cool. And then I think yep, run back, get your item. I like it. That's what I would do too. Check the Lotus as well, or Venno can do that for you. There you go. So it might just be better to don't even worry about like the idea of microing. Like just box select it with your hero. Like start with that, and just get used to like having it around. And then honestly, the way I micro things a lot is just by either tabbing through them, because like we were talking about, I don't have my controls optimized for it. I don't have my controls optimized for microing individual units, so I just use tab, or I just literally click on the unit and do it that way.
Yeah.
And the other micro trick, I want to show you this real quick, and we'll come back to the replay. So this is something I've learned from playing a lot of RTS. Who would be a good hero for this? Let's look at Broodmother. That's the best one. So this is a good way to just put out a bunch of orders real quick. We need to give ourselves free spells so we can just get a bunch of spiders. No, free spells, thank you. Okay, good enough. So obviously you can tab through them like this, but that's a little weird because like you're still controlling everything. So it's just like for abilities. So not always actually that useful. But what you can do, if you have a bunch of things that you want to do, what you should start off with is just worrying about the efficiency. So like good micro means in any game, good micro means none of your units are doing nothing. Like, just like how in Dota, like, a really large part of, like, getting good at Dota is, like, never just, like, standing still. Like, you learn to, like, wiggle around constantly and constantly be clicking and moving and attacking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You want to apply that to your units as well. So, it's probably less of a big deal in Dota because the summons are just not that powerful. But it is still something, like, theoretically, if you could have all of your, 32 spiders doing something at any given time, that's just like insane, right?
Yeah.
If you can achieve that, it's not actually necessary, but it is good. So what I would say is, like, let's say you have like a bunch of different things you want to do. Like you want to move over here and you want to scout this tower and you want to like hit this wave and you want to like, I don't know, try and deny this tower and like scout over here and scout over here, right? What you should start with is whatever order just gets everybody moving first, right? So just select everybody and send them, and then take little groups and like have them diverge, right? So we'll have these guys attack the wave, we'll have like these two attack the tower, have this guy go back and scout over here. And you see, like, it's really easy because I've set a bunch of controls and they all died super fast. But I sent my spiders to like 5 different places doing all different things.
Yeah.
And while I was doing that, I was not microing my hero at all because I gave them an order that takes a long time to execute.
Right.
So this is obviously much harder to do if you have if you're trying to do everything in a short span of time, right? So let's just make a shit ton of spiders again. You know what I should do, actually? Let's just buy a bunch of Kayas. Where the hell is Kaya? Give me more spiders. Does that not get amped? Really? Okay, whatever. It's kind of working. Spiders! Oh my god, my computer's lagging. Go up here, spiders. But this is what I mean, right? So I can just click over here, and then I can just, like, grab little things and make adjustments as I go, right?
Yeah.
And while I'm doing this, all the other units are still doing their freaking thing, right? Like, these guys can all attack. Oh god, that's a lot of creeps. Like, they're not even done yet, and I'm still, like, reordering things, you know? So it's just kind of a... And tab's not going to work super well, because I'm tabbing through, but it's not, like, actually sub-selecting them. So it's just, I don't know. You can do it, like, with different unit types. So let's make some more, creeps real quick. If we just make, like, a group of spiders, what we can do is, like, we select everybody, right? And tab. No, it's not working. Do it like this. Unselect everybody. Select Broodmother, right? You can do things with this. Tab, and it's selecting the next unit type. So now I'm on all my spiders. So it has a different functionality based on what you had initially selected. You see? If I select everybody, I'm just tabbing through this control group, which would be relevant on heroes like Chen, where all of your summons have abilities on them. So like with a Chen or a Meepo, it's like grab the whole group, and then you attack, and it's like tab Q, tab Q, tab Q, tab Q, right?
Yeah.
But with someone like this, with a Broodmother, where you don't actually control the spiders by having abilities, tabbing back and forth like that to switch back and forth between the different unit types could be more helpful. They both have a use, obviously, but you see how the differences are working there?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then just that trick about, like, send everybody and then diverge from there, that's going to help tremendously with micro. Like, even without hotkeys, right? This over here. Go over here. Make more creep waves. Full auto sniper cannon or spider cannon. Go, 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 go. Okay, cool. Get out of here. Stuck. I mean, obviously you can use control groups too. And I think if I was going to use control groups, what I would do is I'd always have one control group for Broodmother, or however you want to do that, right? And then I would set them to whatever, like, numbers you feel comfortable with. So, like, when I played a lot of RTS games, I can kind of handle 5 control groups really comfortably. I can go up to 5. That's sort of my limit. Once I'm getting to, like, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, it's starting to get more difficult. And so what you can do is basically, like, if you're going to use hotkeys at all, what you want to do is set the thing that you're going to be using the most to the most comfortable key, or the thing that has to be microed the most to the most comfortable key. So, like, for example, like, if you have, like a unit that doesn't need to be microed a lot, like, let's just pretend that you could create a tower, right? Like, I can make spiders, and I can make a Broodmother, and I can, like, build a tower, whatever. I would want to put the tower on, like, the hardest to reach hotkey that's still convenient. So what I would do with this is I'd say, like, Broodmother 1, and then I'd have, like, some Broodlings on, like, 2 and 3, and then maybe my Helm Dom creep on, like, 4 or something like that. And then I'd add, like, the tower onto 5, because let's say I could, like, select the tower and, like, select where it's going to attack with just 5. But I don't have to give it a lot of orders. And then as I add in more control groups, like I add in more spider groups, I just move that tower down. So it becomes like 6, 7, 8, 9. It goes all the way down, right?
Yeah.
Or if it's, say, like something like in StarCraft, where you have like a unit that you're going to just go to every now and then, but you need to go to it constantly, say like a barracks or whatever, you could just, like, put that on 0 and just leave it there the whole game, because it's never going to change. And then you build that muscle memory of, like, oh, 0... you know, A, 0A, and then go back to my other things, right? So I would do that in Dawn of War 2 on, like, power nodes. I'd always put the power nodes on 0, so I could just, like, 0, 0, and, like, oh, actually, that was an actually relevant hotkey. it would just do that and like go back to my, so I could go look at it and I could like build things without even looking at it and go back to what I was doing, right? So it's really just, it's coming up with a control scheme that's comfortable for you. So like what we were talking about before, having a hotkey to select everything is really useful. Like Alt-A, that's good. And then having a hotkey that selects everything except for your hero is really good. And then having a hotkey just for your hero is good. Because that is effectively the same thing as like, if you put your hero on 1 and all your broodlings on 2, it's the same thing as pressing spacebar and C, you know?
Right.
It's just a hotkey somewhere else on the keyboard. That's all it is. And it's just a consistent hotkey. Like spacebar is always select hero for me, no matter what.
Yeah.
So for somebody like Beastmaster, what I would do maybe is let's go over to Beastmaster. Can I switch? Do I switch hero? I forgot how to do this. Here it is. Okay. So we will buy ourselves one of these, and we will level up to max. So what I would want to do with something like this is, can I, like, Jesus Christ, I need more creeps. They need to put some goddamn jungle camps in here.
Yeah, I know.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Okay. There we go. Save me, creeps. We'll do this, and we'll do this. Send our hawk over here. So I would have like Beastmaster on 1, and then the boar or whatever the thing is that I'm gonna like most consistently use on like 2, and then my Helm Dom creep would be on 3, and then my hawk would be on 4. So that way, like I can just like press like 4-4, and I can go look at directly where the hawk is, right? Because it would just function like this. If I want to just like scout it real quick, I can use it as like a what's it called? Like a camera hotkey.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm noticing something interesting about this. You can't tab to the stupid hawk. It doesn't think that's a unit you can select, even though it definitely is. You can tab away from it, but you can't tab to it. So you'd have to put that on an actual, like, stupid hotkey, right? But if you don't want to bother with hotkeys, then I think just box selecting and, like, tabbing through to use abilities is fine. And then if you need to make like a micro adjustment, something like that, like, you know, you're box selecting, you're attacking, and like this creep's about to die, you just grab it, send it back, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Or you could, you know, do things like this where you're just constantly doing that, which is not efficient, right? But it's better than just like having the board just sit here and then forgetting about it, right? I'd rather have you just select everything and have it be super basic, because to be honest, it's not going to be efficient unless you hotkey everything. It just isn't. Yeah. Using your mouse to select things and control things is strictly just slower. So unless you're going to change your controls, that's just how it's going to be.
No, I mean I have some hotkeys for it already. I think what I actually, because I freed up before, I have a couple of buttons on my mouse. And I freed up those. I usually use those for items, but I put them on like C and V or some shit like that instead.
Okay.
So I think maybe, yeah, putting the control groups in these little side buttons on my mouse might be like perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Here, what we'll do is, so I don't have anything past 7, so we'll use 8, 9, and 0 to kind of tell you what I'm talking about, right? So we'll say this group, we'll do control 8. And these guys will be control 9, and this will be our control 0. Spacebar 890, right? This, if you can actually use hotkeys to control things, this is going to be so much better, right?
Yeah.
Other little things too you can do to make things easier on yourself is just have things follow. So now I'm only controlling Beastmaster, but everybody's following me. And that way, if it's like, oh, I want you to go over there and go, you know, deny that rune or whatever, right? You can just do that real quick. And then obviously, whenever you can incorporate shift clicking, like queued actions into what you're doing, like let's say I wanted to like go over here and scout this and come back, right? You know, just having it like right click, shift, right click, and then go back to what I'm doing. I can completely forget about this now, right? And it's just doing its thing. I'm not microing it anymore. It's just going on a path. So the key to like good micro is just like, it's actually it's front loading your actions so that it requires less actions overall. Because normally the way you would micro this, like if I have to actually, like without shift queuing, I'm just doing one hand, right? I have to go all the way over here, wait for it to get here, which means there could be an error in me paying attention where it just sits here. Then I got to click back over here, right? Yeah. And that means I'm also having to like spend my attention on this, or I can front load the whole action and just do this, and I'm back to what I'm doing, right? And this takes time. I don't have to be watching it. Just let it go. And you can absolutely do this with your creeps, right? So like you can have your boar like, hey, run over there and see what's over there and come back to me. And then when you're over here, shift A, click, attack with me when we get here, right? He's going to do this. He's going to walk over here, and then he's going to attack move his way up to me, right? And attack anything on the way. Attack moving when you're microing is a massive, like, boon. It's just the same as, like, box selecting, right? It's so helpful to just grab everything and A-click super far away and then forget about it and do other things. And you don't have to worry about it, because if they run into anything, they're just going to automatically start attacking it, right?
Right.
Don't attack move when you're smoking or invis, obviously, but, like, otherwise it's good, right? Does that help at all? Is any of that useful?
Yeah, for sure. It's almost similar to, like, funny enough, in fighting games, when, like, certain, like, people watch, like, a video of somebody having, like, an insane reaction, and it's like, oh, how did he, like, react that fast? But really what's happening is, like, he's blocking a certain way, so if it seems like his opponent's going to do anything different, he's ready to just do the option he thinks he's going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you can
your like mental stack of things that you have to think about at once.
Totally. And I mean, you can apply this to other things in Dota too. Like if you think you're about to get jumped but you're not sure, just have your hand floating over that BKB key. You know? Like just ready to press it at any given time. Like that's when you see pros do that insane reaction time shit, it's because their finger is on the fucking button ready to press it, you know?
Yeah, I think this is also kind of a thing I was realizing today playing, like just with my ADHD and stuff. I try and juggle thinking about too many things at once, and I need to just like think about one thing at a time. So like instead of thinking about my health bar and how much I'm getting harassed while I'm walking up to the creep and like trying to hit it and how many creeps are hitting it, like I just need to focus on the last hit. You know, think about, okay, if I walk up, do they kill me? No. Okay, let me get the last hit. You know.
Well, that's where planning ahead is going to help you a lot, right? Because like if you've done all that calculation in your head ahead of time, like okay, I know all the items I'm going to buy this game, and I know that I can't walk to this area, and I know that this is the person I want to stun. All that shit can just become autopilot, and then you can focus on the things that really matter, like positioning or like timing something correctly, or you know, buying out right before you die, whatever it is, right? Dota is like a lot, like being good at Dota is basically just planning ahead, and then it is just hitting the buttons right and all that kind of crap and actually making decisions, but a lot of it is kind of done ahead of time. Yeah, I mean, I can't like help with like a specific like ADD issue because I probably have ADD as well, so I don't even know. But in terms of like micro tricks, like it's not what works for me.
No, yeah, for me, I think it's just coming down to like instead of like just trying to focus on a couple things at a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, and especially when you're learning. You can kind of like. Also, I find sometimes doing things in the extreme is a really good way to learn, right? So there's two ways to approach this, like learning a micro hero. The first is like, okay, I'm going to pick a hero that's easy to micro, like, you know, Beastmaster, where it's just like, I got one unit, boar. You know, I don't even have to buy Helm Dom if I don't want to. I just got one boar, right? Now I'm controlling 2 units. Ooh. Or you go the opposite fucking direction. You're like, I'm going to play Chen until I learn how to win the game, right? And you just hammer your fucking face into it for 30 games in a row, like screwing it up along the way. And some people learn better like that. Some people learn better like taking it in steps. Like they're going to play Beastmaster. Ooh, then they're going to play Enchantress. And then they're going to play Lone Druid. And then they're going to play Chen. And they go up to it, right? So it's you just have to know that about yourself, what works better for you. But given that you are like kind of dipping your toes into micro things, I think it's worth your time to like go to the extreme. Like go play a turbo game as Chen and just see like if it's actually as hard as you think it's going to be, or if it's way harder than you thought it would be, or actually maybe there's like certain issues you weren't even aware you were going to have until you did it, you know?
Yeah.
It's all like a learning strategy thing. But let's go over this real quick. So how do we keep track of our summons and hero better? So the easy way is just keeping them all together and box selecting, so that they're always giving the same order, like you're doing right now. Just keeping the boar on screen and you're ordering it at the same time as you, right? They're not moving too far away from each other. They're doing the same thing. It's not complicated. That's the first way. The second way would be hotkeys, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to use hotkeys, but if you want to do it well, hotkeys. And then it would be double tapping the hotkey to go to the thing you want to look at right away, right? I'm actually curious if I can do this in a replay. I don't think I can, but I'm going to try it. Weird. Oh, no. Okay, they're automatically bound to hotkeys. All the heroes are bound to hotkeys. Okay. But let's just pretend I was playing all 10 heroes, right? So I can use 1 through 10 to select heroes. I actually didn't know this yet. Never tried it. But this would be an instance where it's like, okay, Hoodwink is 0, and Veno is 2, and Beastmaster's 3. Actually, what it's doing is it's cycling between the player views. So if I press 2, it's looking at what Veno is looking at. Veno is looking over here for some reason. That's really cool. I didn't know that. Let's do Hero Chase then, so it's a little bit more obvious, right? So if I'm like playing Beastmaster and I'm like, I've got my Hoodwink over here that I want to look at, you know, it's like 0-0, what's Hoodwink doing? Back to Beastmaster. You know, oh, what's my Silencer doing? Just not using my mouse at all, right? I'm just using the keyboard to look around. It's actually easier in this because you only have to click once to go to the hero. Normally you're going to have to like select it, then click on it again to actually go to the thing.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I didn't know about that. I learned a thing. So does that answer that question?
Yeah.
It's either giving yourself like a simplified plan of they're just going to be together anyway, so it's not hard to track, or it's actually like modifying your controls to make it better. So,
yeah, for sure.
Simple usage, box selecting, staying grouped, or hotkeys. How can we learn to micro better? So we talked about that a little bit as well. So you can either play an easy micro hero or dive right into the hard micro hero. But I would suggest, like, if you do really want to learn this, like, go play a bunch of turbo games and just play all of them. You know?
Yeah.
Different difficulty classes of micro heroes. And then also, honestly, like, for something like this that is purely mechanical, bot games.
Yeah.
So, like, go into a bot game and, like, practice controlling with all that stuff, right? Like, you could do something maybe weird, right? Where you, I don't know, as an extreme example, let's say you could make a custom game where you play as Meepo and, like, give yourself a bunch of XP, so you immediately, like, have extra Meepos, and send one Meepo to each lane, and then put the bots on easy. And, like, try to farm. Like that. You know, I mean, like, that's, like, you could do exercises like that to see how that would work. And that'll teach you things, too. Because what that will teach you is, like, okay, I can't physically be looking at 3 lanes at once, so I need to, like, give them orders that are reasonable, you know? Like, I don't want to be pushing 3 towers at once. I just want to, like, attack move the creep wave and back off so that they don't run under tower and die, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. And then hotkeys will help, obviously. Otherwise, just use basic hotkeys, like select all or select other, or all other, select hero, right? Just use those 3 and that'll kind of get you by. Oh, and tab, right? just those 4 hotkeys will kind of get you by on most of it. But if you want to like be getting good at it, then you need to like transition to using like a separate hotkey for each unit.
Yeah.
And then it's just practice. And then how should we use Boar in lane? So Boar is best used. So best used to help with creep score. Harassing, running down melee heroes that can't kill the boar easily. That's the main thing. Because the boar is actually level 1 incredibly squishy. It's got 0 armor. It's a range creep, actually. It's a bad range creep now that I'm looking at it. It does less damage. It has less health. It has less movement speed. And I don't know what the attack range is. Attack range is 550. What's a range creep? 500. So it's a weaker range creep with very slightly longer range that slows. So if they can kill the boar easily, the boar is not very useful. So it would just be kind of saving it for situations where it is useful. And then also, if you're using it but they're trying to kill it, it is just like microing the boar to don't let it die, because the boar does have a long ass cooldown. It starts out at 42 seconds, and even at highest level it's 30 seconds. It's like if they kill your boar, that's like a large window. You just don't have that unit. It's a similar thing with Lone Druid. If you kill his bear, he has a very long time where he just has no bear, right? You can't instantly resummon. So keeping it alive is important as well. And also, obviously, you don't want to feed the golden XP. But yeah, I mean, does that answer all the questions there?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
There was one other question I had,
Sure.
which was, what do you feel for him as far as team fights? Because it's like, obviously he's got a BKB piercing stun. That's pretty important. But it feels like in the team fights I did take, like if I just kind of walk up with my units and go, all right, it's time to fight, he's not actually that tanky.
No, that might just be, you know, whenever that happened, you weren't actually physically tanky. You didn't have enough items. I mean, because he's a strength hero, so you're going to have to buy armor and magic resist and all that stuff. His kit does not make him tanky in any way. He has literally no defense in his kit. So you're going to have to itemize for that. Like, I would say he isn't traditionally a tanky hero. He's just a strength hero, right?
Yeah.
He might be tanky. I mean, let's see. Let's go back to, like, say, when you were early level, just to look at it comparatively. See what your stats are level 1. I could obviously just do this a better way. But when you start out, we'll ignore these stats. You have, like, what, about 700 health and 3 armor. That is very average. Even for a strength hero. Like, 3 armor is actually not tanky. Like 5 armor, 7 armor, that's like where you can be like, oh, I'm a tanky strength hero, right? He's pretty average. You'd have to look at his scaling to see also, but that's going to be weird as well now, because what's up? There, we're going to jump down here real quick. That's very annoying. You still there?
Okay.
Good? Okay.
Yeah,
okay. We'll look at his scaling real quick. So, which is worse now because he's a universal hero. So let's go to the about page. Yeah, he's getting 2.9 strength a level, and he's getting 1.4 agi a level, which is quite bad. Let's compare him to, say, Wraith King. Like, Wraith King is tankier on paper. Like, 3 strength, 1.7 agi. Agi turning into armor, obviously. There's also the little weird thing about, you know, giving you magic resistance. But I think it's so small that it's not really super relevant. Primal Beast, 4.3 strength, 1 agi, so he's going to have a lot more health. Let's look at CK, 3.2, 1.4. Like, it's actually, if you look at it, he isn't a super tanky hero. Even late game. Just comparing it to other strength heroes. Like, look at Earth Spirit's stats comparatively. 3.8, 2.4, 2.1 per level. Versus yours on Beastmaster. It's quite different, right?
Yeah.
So don't think of Beastmaster as a tanky hero. He's what the hell is going on in this? There's a boar, there's an alchemist, there's a primal beast, there's a broodmother in the background. Like, what? Is this because I'm paused?
I can't. Oh, I think I can't see because I think switching to the.
Oh
the
no! Okay. Damn, I found a really funny bug.
Let me see.
I found a super funny bug. If you pause the replay, it also pauses animations in here. So you could just
God, holy shit.
you could just keep adding heroes. What the fuck?
Dude,
Look
maybe you were destined for QA.
Oh, I am, dude. Look at this bug. This is beautiful. I think the animations are progressing too. I feel like the broodmother legs are moving as I do this.
Dude. You need to take a screenshot of this.
Welcome to Dota.
Yeah, this will be the next hero.
Oh my god, there's a horse. There's a... What the fuck? This is beautiful.
Holy shit.
It's like an amalgam. I love it. Oh, it's like switching back and forth between sets. Like there's a primal beast and there's a broodmother. Why is it doing that?
That would make a sick alternative to Roshan.
Just a ball of heroes. Look at Clockwork like T-posing. Dude, fucking sweet. All right, anyway, so I completely lost track of what I was talking about. Anyway, yeah, Beastmaster, not actually a tanky hero. He's just a strength hero. So I had the same experience when I was playing him too. I'd be like, I'm gonna run in, I'm strong, and then they just kill me.
So do you think it's he's still kind of like a hero who wants to go after one person and kind of like go after them till they die, as opposed to like running in front of the team?
Yeah, I think you should.
Or do you want to like kind of like stun, let your creeps do shit, walk back, throw axes?
I think because
it feels like you want to hit because you have the attack speed.
Well, once you do get like Helm of the Overlord, stuff like that, your creep does hurt. In like the mid game, it's really strong. It actually starts to fall off later. It's not that good anymore. But and obviously boars are not good until, God, even at max level, they're not good. It's 65 damage. Now, having 2 boars at once, that does start to add up.
Yeah.
I would just think about Beastmaster as he's a pick-off hero. So like in the team fight, you look for the guy that's like high importance and you stun him, and then if it's safe, then you can like walk up and hit him with everything. But he's not like a diving. It's not a bristleback. Like you can't just dive onto the hard target unless he's incredibly fed and has tons of items, right?
Yeah.
It's not normally how this is gonna go. Let me think of another hero who this would be kind of equivalent to. It's closer to like maybe a Tusk, where it's kind of like, I'm gonna get rid of this bug first before we look at this. It's closer to a Tusk where his job is to kind of isolate an important or weak person and make their life hell and kill them.
Yeah.
So if that's the Enigma, you're holding fucking, I don't know, it's not, maybe not Enigma, whatever. Maybe it's like a Pugna save. You're like holding your stun to like catch him or whatever. But if it's like an Enigma or something with Beastmaster, it's like, okay, I'm holding my roar for the important stun. If they have an important hero that has a BKB, like that's where you get to do strong primal roar, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, like, it's not a massive cooldown, so you should feel free to like use this for the occasional pick off. Don't think of this as like as much of an investment as like a Ravage or a Black Hole. It's closer to like Mars, like the way Mars works with Arena. I'm gonna go like ult these guys and kill them, like in the mid game, right? When it comes down to fights, you want to be using this to like kill their PA or stop the big spell they have, right? Like the Black Hole. And then if it's safe, like, it's like an ancient apparition or something like that, you can just run up to them with all the creeps like this and just attack them till they're dead. That's fine. But otherwise, you're not a Chaos Knight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
where you're uber tanky and do tons of damage and can just run in the middle of the fight and kill someone. It's not quite like that. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, that makes sense.
The main strengths of Beastmaster are not specifically team fights, it's the map. Beastmaster is good on the map because of vision, because of tower pressure, his ability to farm, his ability to pick off people with roar. Like a Beastmaster is hard to play against. It's not like explicitly hard to deal with in a fight. If that makes sense. It's like playing against like a Spirit Breaker. Like the hero creates different problems for you on the map. Like a Nyx creates different problems for you. A Nature's Prophet creates problems for you. That's what Beastmaster is. So
That makes sense.
yeah. All right. Anything else you want to go over? Or is that pretty much good?
No, I think that's pretty good. I mean, it's just gonna be something that's like, takes a lot of action and practice, you know.
Mm-hmm. Important weak targets. I'd stress with the war specifically, the important target is more important than the weak target. The weak target thing is more like with your summons and right clicks.
Yeah.
And then important would be roar. Yeah. All right. And I shouldn't even say solo pickoffs. We should just say pickoffs. Solo pickoff would imply you're doing it by yourself. So yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, for homework then, what I would say is screw around in some bot games. Try experiment in bot games with hotkeys and see how that feels, or at least the basic ones that don't require you to completely reconfigure your entire keyboard. Like go into a bot game, play with different hotkey setups and stuff like that, and then also specifically like do you know how to set up a lobby with cheats and all that?
No.
Okay, we'll I'll have to like look at that. We'll talk about that next time. But yeah, we can set up a lobby with like cheats turned on. It's actually not that hard to do. Let me see if I can just remember real quick.
Yeah.
Custom lobbies, create. Yeah, all you gotta do is create a lobby like this and go to edit and then enable cheats here.
Yeah.
And then you can look up online like a bunch of different basically cheat codes. So like Dota 2 cheat codes. So here you go. From the Dota wiki, here's a bunch of different cheats you can use. Like you can level up your hero, you can respawn, you can spawn the creeps, you can give yourself all vision, you can delete all the wards, like whatever you want to do. These can be a little bit complicated, but you would just, you have to make sure cheats is turned on and then you just type these into the chat to use them. So make custom lobby with cheats turned on to give yourself micro challenges. And you can make these challenges really simple too. They can be like as simple as like I want to have my creeps pushing this lane and have my hero push this lane, and I want my hawk to scout over there. And I just want to like practice doing that. Or it can be more complicated. Like I want my first board to stack this camp and this board to stack this camp while my hero tries to stack one camp with his melee and the other camp with his axes. Like you can make it super complicated if you want it to be, but that's like you just gotta work up to that stuff. And then also I would say play turbo games with the different micro heroes to see how they feel. Because you might actually find like, oh, Broodmother's actually not that hard for me to play. It's pretty simple, you know?
Yeah, I thought about even just playing like Nature's Prophet and like...
Yeah, it's a good one. And that one is good. Like Nature's Prophet and Broodmother are good micro heroes to work with because all of the things that they summon are the same. So you're not also worried about abilities. It's just I have more entities to work with. Whereas a hero like Chen or Enchantress, like you're adding abilities and spells. That's why they're hard to micro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. Can you think of anything else we should add in here, or is that pretty good?
I think it's pretty good. I think it's gonna be a lot of just like practice.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be a lot of
Yeah.
practice.
But I do like the benefit. I think that getting strong at them will make a huge difference in MMR.
Absolutely. Even if you find that you don't like these heroes or you just can't get the hang of it, having played them and understanding how they work will be a huge advantage, right?
Yeah.
But I think you can learn it. It's not terribly
I think
difficult.
if I can, then I will really enjoy them because I do really enjoy the challenging aspect of it.
Good. Okay. All
It's
right.
something where it's like it also kind of like satisfies some of my ADHD because it's like it's hard to get bored when I'm like controlling so many things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Then I would say for ranked though, if you are going to play ranked games, stick to the heroes you know how to play, and you do this like
Yeah.
on the side.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because I don't want to fucking
Yeah.
go in reverse, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, dude. Cool. Well, I think we can call it there. We got 15 minutes this time. That's a little bit closer to the goal, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about, so that's fine.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope that was helpful. If you did find that helpful, you should check out my Dawn of War 2 videos because that's lots of micro stuff in there. But don't forget to check the playlist at the end of the video that has all the other Dota coaching stuff and the other Dota playlist. And also don't forget to check me out on Twitch. I stream every weekday about 2 p.m. onwards PST. And I hope to see you there. Have a good one. Bye.